And following the meeting between President Trump and President Zelensky on peace talks, we're joined by an analyst to give more insight on the issue. And that's Mr. Adeniyi. Mr. Adeniyi, good to have you. Thanks so much for joining us. How would you describe this meeting between Trump and Zelensky compared with, what you have going on? What do you think anything fruitful can come out from this meeting?
Well, I want to believe that something worth the while will come out of this meeting. And the first thing that we have to note is the level of civility between both persons. It's important to state that perhaps there has been reviews on both sides of the divide, and there seems to be an understanding regarding leaders of countries comporting themselves when they come for such a high-level conversation or discussion as the war in Ukraine. We're talking about people who have died, close to 500,000 Ukrainians since 2022, and I'm still trying to put the figures for the Russian casualties together. So I think that the first thing is that both leaders have comported themselves. President Donald Trump has shown a level of respect for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and I think that that's the way to go. If you also look at the mediations, or more or less like the intermissions between the media professionals who are there, and of course the questions and the responses, I really like the fact that his body language and tone of his conversations have also reflected something very different. So I said that's one side of the combo. But I think it's important to tie this back to what happened days ago, and I'm talking about the meeting in Alaska. Let's talk about the fact that no Russian leader has touched foot, within the U.S. soil in the past decade. And to say that Alaska itself happens to be a significant state, having been sold to the United States of America, that's about in the 1860s. So that tells you that it's a pivotal meeting place for both leaders. But what remains significant is that both leaders are meeting days after the Russian president visited the United States of America, although in the course of the reviews of the meeting they had previously, there seemed not to be an agreement. Both leaders talk about the fact that there's a way forward from the meeting in Alaska. So if we look at the tone and the body language, and I do not want to regard much of what some of the newspapers and of course the TV stations have actually analyzed here. For instance, the New York Times was talking about the fact that President Donald Trump showed deference to Putin. And I think it seems to be stemming from the position of the newspaper. Here, I'm talking about a leader who obviously has had the opportunity to review things himself, and he feels that he needs to ensure that lives are safe. So there are times when some media houses do an analysis of what transpired between the president. As somebody born in Africa, I am not aligning with that idea. I'm aligning with a president who perhaps has made a number of missteps before this time, and he has to be careful to ensure that the ultimate goal is to secure ceasefire, and sooner than later that should be what we see here.
All right. Well, the bigger question here that's also at play, and that is whether or not Trump is posturing, because we've seen that as it regards to Gaza and Israel, and now Ukraine and Russia, whether or not he's posturing, whether there's a deference he's giving to Putin and Netanyahu, but only time will tell. I must say thank you, Adeniyi, for just taking out the time to join us and give us insight. I wish we had enough time to go into details, but I'm certain more conversations on this will happen inside the 8 o'clock hour for our Beyond the Continent belt.